understand you're in need of some advice.
Hey beautiful, welcome to Dr. Sarah's Café. I must say, today is a special day, not just any day. If you know, you know. Shout out to Tony. No, it's not my anniversary, but today the Brew Crew officially launches. I'll tell you more about that in a second. But first I want to begin with the flavor of the week. What flavor are we savoring this week? It is a good one, and it is alignment. Alignment, folks. What do you think about when you hear the word alignment? I'm not going to lie, one of the first things that came to my mind was tires, car tires. But it's a good analogy because when you think about driving in your car, going in a direction, you have an intended path that you want to drive on. But if your wheels are out of alignment, if your tires are out of alignment, you will veer off that path. You will try your hardest to stay on path, and the wheels are like, nope, we're going to go left, we're going to go right, we're going to go in circles. And so it's a good analogy for how if we have a goal, if we have a desire, a wish, something we want to manifest in life, we have to make sure that our metaphorical wheels and tires are in alignment with our intended destination. And so often we are unconscious of the ways that things in our life are out of alignment with what we say we want. So we might have conscious goals, but we have unconscious or subconscious misalignment with those goals. So we say we want something, and yet we do things to sabotage the things that we want. We do things that are out of alignment. We say things, we surround ourselves with people, choose situations that are out of alignment with what our heart, what we think and tell ourselves we're really trying to get from this life, what we're really trying to focus on. And so we have supportive energies, we have astrology, tarot, oracle cards, some poetry, and a pastry that helps us reflect on getting into alignment, stepping into greater alignment with our higher calling, with our most authentic self, with our genuine desires and wishes. All the beautiful things, okay? And speaking of being in alignment with things that we really desire, this is a special day because the doors officially open for the Brew Crew. So if you're watching this, that means the Brew Crew membership is officially open. You can go in. Some people registered early, so even if you were registered, there was a holding period. You were sort of in the queue to enter the door. So now the doors are officially open. People can come in. I'd like to welcome you into that space to bask in the joy and beauty of a community of people who want to be their best selves, who want to witness their full potential, and who want to understand themselves more deeply and really commit to a deeper, more intentional spiritual path for themselves, surrounded with other people who are also walking those journeys for themselves. And I mentioned last week that I created this space because I want a safe space to geek out about things like the full moon and Mercury retrograde and crystals and tarot cards and numerology and learning about human design, and not have, people sort of shrug their shoulders or roll their eyes or give me the side eye, right? And so if you are also curious about those things and you want to be able to just indulge in the personal development and the spiritual growth and all the unique resources that are available to us as humans, whether it be scientific research studies that just kind of blow your mind and fill you with awe and wonder, or metaphysical things like tarot cards that fall at just the right time and speak to your soul in just the right way, then this is a space for you, a community for you. And it's especially useful for people who might have shifted their spiritual practices over time, right? So for me, growing up in a church environment and feeling afraid to explore these things, or feeling like I have to hide, or feeling that shame or stigma around these things. And so wanting to create a community where there is no stigma. And if you are a novice, if you're new to these things and you didn't grow up being taught how to look at the stars and understand yourself better, or how to work with the cycles and seasons of your life to get closer to your dream for yourself, then this is a space that you might enjoy. And I'm opening it up to this first cohort, this founding member cohort, until September 22nd. And you get a 30-day free sample. So, yes, I like to be on brand. We're a cafe, and you get to sample the Brew Crew flavor for 30 days to see if it's something that you'd like to continue with. Okay. So there'll be a link in the description box below if you'd like to learn more. All right, so let's look at the flavor of the week, specifically the astro ingredients. So looking at some of the astrology that's happening in the week ahead and how it lends itself to this theme of alignment. Now, I'm previewing a little bit further beyond this week because we have an eclipse coming up. And so I want to speak to that with enough time for you to do your reflections, for you to prepare your mind, prepare your spirit, prepare your space to ride the wave of this eclipse season that's coming up, that has already started, to be honest. But before we get to that eclipse, there are some things happening this specific week, and they both involve Jupiter and Gemini. Super, super exciting. So the first one is on the 12th, and it's the sun currently in the sign of Virgo. Happy birthday season to Virgos. And it's going to be squaring, so making a 90-degree angle to Jupiter in the sky in the sign of Gemini. And Jupiter is a planet that wants to expand. And in the sign of Gemini, it often wants to expand communication, expand ideas, expand thoughts and humor and fun and play, right? And just like curiosity. And so I think that's actually a perfect time to launch something like the Brew Crew membership, because we're like, oh my gosh, I'm so curious about myself and about life and about the universe. And I want to geek out with other people who are equally curious and excited. But squaring the sun in Virgo, I like this because both of Gemini and Virgo are both ruled by Mercury. And so they are like sisters, our brothers, our siblings, right? And they have a lot of things in common, even though one is an air sign and one is an earth sign, both of them being ruled by that planet of Mercury, the planet of communication and processes and thought processes and commerce and organization and so many things. And Virgo, being the grounded earth sign, is going to balance out the sort of flightiness that can sometimes happen when Gemini runs away with itself, right? And with Jupiter being in Gemini, it's that much more likely to run away with itself, right? And so I think this square is actually going to help us reach for the best of both signs, right? The best of this Jupiterian Gemini and the best of this Sun in Virgo. I think it'll bring the best of both energies into balance, into harmony, so that they can ignite each other. I will be transparent and say that squares in astrology tend to be uncomfortable. And a lot of astrologers will say, oh, these are like some of the most difficult aspects you can have, some of the most challenging things that can, play out in the sky or in astrology. And I tend to focus on, because you really can't control the fact that the sun is squaring Jupiter. And so I always try to use these videos to say, what's the best case scenario? What's the best way to leverage these energies? Or what is the lesson or the wisdom, right, that we can take from these? And so the sun, again, being the identity, the self. And there could be a lesson or a challenge in how you communicate, specifically how you communicate your ideas and your thoughts. But the beautiful thing that's happening just 2 days later is that Venus, in its home sign of Libra, so Venus is at home, so she's really in her bag. That's a good thing. The planet is strong. She's trining Jupiter and Gemini. And a trine is the exact opposite of a square, in that while a square is often considered one of the most difficult aspects, a trine is often considered one of the most positive, beneficial, supportive aspects, right? One of the easiest aspects. And having a positive aspect, having one of the most positive connections between the two most positive, happy, joyful, loving, jolly, luxurious planets in astrology, this is an opportunity to really lean into the goodness of your life this week, the goodness of your home environment, the goodness of communication, the goodness of love and friendship and partnership. Venus being in the sign of Libra, Libra is really about partnership And so this could be very, very romantic for some people. And that's why I have the love letter with the rose here, right? So Jupiter in the sign of communication, Gemini, making a positive supportive aspect to the planet of love in the sign of relationships. Honey, y'all better write y'all love letters, okay? Y'all better write your love notes. You better slide into them DMs. You hear me? Okay, all jokes aside. I also really feel this for just increasing the amount of love that comes through in our communication. So no matter who you're talking to, whether it's the grocery store clerk or talking to yourself in the elevator. I don't know why that specific example came up, but this is an opportunity. This is an energy to really access communication that comes from the heart, that comes from true, genuine love for yourself, for your life, for the people you're talking to, for the people you're talking about, for the things and the topics and the subjects that you're on. This is soothing words, comforting words. This is joy in the pauses between words. Am I pouring it on too thick? Okay, you get the point. Now it's time to talk about this full moon eclipse that's coming up very, very early next week. One, it's a partial lunar eclipse, so it's not as potent as the full eclipse we had back in April, right? Spectacular. If you've never seen a total solar eclipse, I would say try to see one in your lifetime. I had seen partial eclipses and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And then I saw a total solar eclipse here in Texas earlier this year. And I was like, oh, now I understand why people travel the world to witness eclipses, because when they reach totality, it is like coming face to face with your creator. Seeing an eclipse in totality gave me full awareness of why our ancestors, our human ancestors, fell to their knees and worshiped and stood in awe and fear and reverence during these celestial events. I was like, this is what it means to be, to witness the divine, to witness God, and to witness the power of this cosmos, this unified consciousness that we are a part of. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so back to the upcoming partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. So solar eclipse is when there's a new moon, and so the sun is highlighted. Lunar eclipse is when there's a full moon, and so the moon is being highlighted. Now, eclipses in general are known to be life-changing events. They're known to bring massive life change. I remember when I was staying in Harlem, at the start of my digital nomad journey, I spent 5 months in Harlem, and I went, one of the third Airbnbs I went to, the woman met me at the Airbnb and she was showing me around, and she was saying, oh, it's actually my sister's apartment. But, she couldn't be here because it was the night of an eclipse. Okay, so let me preface by saying that it was the night of an eclipse. The eclipse was happening that night. I met the woman at the apartment. She's saying, oh yeah, my sister's fiance just proposed to her. So eclipses are that kind of energy, right? But the thing about eclipses and the thing about all astrology and why people sometimes get confused and they say, oh, well, nothing happened for me, is because Pisces is in a specific area of your birth chart. And so while that person might get engaged during an eclipse, someone else might sleep through it and not even realize that anything happened. And someone else might get a new job, and someone else might get fired from their job, and someone else might get pregnant, and someone else might have a health scare, and someone else might, graduate with their degree, and someone else might have a genius invention idea. Someone else might win the lottery, right? Someone else might, have an internal recognition or understanding about their personality or about, their past. So many varieties of how these things can play out. And so I also try to avoid overhyping these things and overhyping what might happen during these events. And so it's not that it's always a life-changing event. You have to understand what your personal cycles are, which is why I encourage people to, if you've never pulled up your own birth chart, cafeastrology.com is a great place to start. Free birth charts. So eclipses, when they are hitting your chart in just the right way, when they are part of your unique cycle, can bring life-changing, often usually unexpected, but not, what's the word? Unexpected, but you can see the breadcrumbs elsewhere in your life. So for example, if someone gets fired during an eclipse, it's like, it might be surprising and unexpected, but when you look at what their soul, like the journey that their soul is actually trying to take, it tracks, right? It tracks with, you were on the wrong path. You were not in alignment with where you really needed to go. And so an eclipse, long and short of it, an eclipse is a way for the universe, your higher self, God, whatever word you prefer to use for it, to knock you back into alignment, because you were lollygagging, you were twiddling your thumbs, you were ignoring the problem, and universe is like, look, you're out of alignment with what's best for you. You're out of alignment with this dream that you say you have. You're out of alignment with the blessings that are on the other side of this journey for you. And so we're going to help you out a little bit. We're going to kick you out of the nest. We're going to be like, listen, it's time. It's time for you to step into your destiny, right? It's time for you to be all of who you are. It's time for you to realize that potential that you've been trying to push down and suppress to fit in and please other people. Okay. And so eclipses are kind of like that. They're like, here's an escape hatch. Hey, here's a shortcut to getting back into alignment with where your soul really wants to go. And full moons, so not just eclipse energy, but full moons specifically, are known to be very intense. So people have been saying, like, emergency rooms, ER professionals, doctors always say that emergency rooms go crazy during a full moon, right? More calls to 911, more calls to police, more visits to the emergency room, etc. So full moons heighten energy, they increase energy, and they're also about letting go. So a full moon eclipse is very, very likely to end something. It's very likely to ask us to release something. It's very often likely to complete something. Okay. And so you can see it as a completion or a culmination of something you've been working towards. And it's like, here's what it ultimately amounts to. Or it could be like it can be perceived or felt as a loss of some sort, right? So all these themes are things for you to take and apply to what's going on with your life. And you might have some hunches, you might have some inclinations about, like, I kind of know in the back of my mind, I kind of know in my subconscious mind and my unconscious mind and my gut that things are off in various areas of my life. And, we can sort of, again, surf the waves of these eclipses and say, I'm ready. I surrender to the necessary changes, pivots, fated moments, because I trust my creator. I trust my higher self. I trust the universe that's wise and loving, that it's trying to get me back into alignment. It's trying to keep me in alignment with the truth of my life, with the truth of myself. And yeah, sometimes, like, I've never had like a bone or a joint put back into place, or like, but from what I've seen on TV, it looks painful, right? To put something back into place, to put it back into alignment, can sometimes feel jarring, can sometimes feel uncomfortable or shocking, right? So that's, I think, my biggest takeaway with the astrology. And if it does present difficult things, challenging things, uncomfortable things, just repeat that refrain. This is putting me into alignment. This is getting me into alignment. I'm stepping into greater alignment. This is the process of realigning, of getting into greater alignment. Okay. Now let's look at this tarot ingredient. Tarot ingredients. I just thought of something, sorry. We have the 8 of sticks. The 8 of sticks, or the 8 of wands, or the 8 of staves. And this is coming again from the Hoodoo Tarot deck. And the 8 of wands, interestingly enough, is a perfect pair for the astrology of the week. You know, I shuffle these cards and they come into alignment with the flavor of the week. The 8 of sticks is often a card of communication. We just talked about the Gemini energy, Jupiter being in Gemini, Venus in Libra, trining Jupiter in Gemini, and how it's about communication, specifically loving communication, being intentional and loving and careful with our words and intentional with our words in a way that speaks life into people. And so to get the card, one of the cards of communication for this week is very appropriate and it's very much in alignment. It's very demure, very cute, see? But I also want to read from the book because it's not just me saying that this is an alignment, but with the 8 of sticks, in the Hoodoo Tarot deck, every card has a plant associated with it. And so the 8 of sticks is poplar. And the image description from the author says, a hoodoo woman is peeling wood from a tree just struck by lightning. It is believed that lightning struck wood amplifies the potency of any working. The positive meaning is rapid progress, forward movement, communication, finding a resolution, excitement, whirlwind romances, gaining momentum, receiving a critical message, eye-opening experiences, being in alignment, ending of delays, travel by air, and successful journeys. Okay. So, I mean, I feel like that's the message with the tarot cards. I also find it so interesting that, yes, the 8 of wands is the card of communication. It's a card that represents alignment, but it's also a card that can represent whirlwind romances. I also call it my whirlwind book tour card. So going on a whirlwind book tour, being swept off of your feet, right? And so with this, I'm telling y'all, this Venus trine Jupiter, Venus and Libra, the planet of love in the sign of relationships, trining the big daddy Santa Claus in the sign of communication, those love letters gonna be lit this week, okay? Poets stand up. You hear me? Write those love poems, write those love songs, play them in your car, blast them out loud. All right, all jokes aside, I think we see how this 8 of wands is adding to the flavor of alignment this week. The oracle message is also a really good one, y'all, but it's not for the faint of heart, okay? The tea leaves, oracle tea leaves, is again from the Abiola Abrams African Goddess Rising deck, and it is Mamlambo and self-sabotage. Mamlambo and self-sabotage. So I'm going to read from the online guidebook here. You are holding yourself apart from your blessings. What ancient pain are you trying to stuff down, numb, ignore, or avoid? What does your self-sabotage help you to avoid? Your inner saboteur is clever. Seductive patterns of behavior block your path, and your power, distractions, addictions, cravings, and unhealthy habits will not bring you to your best. Your inner bully is the voice telling you you messed up, the part of you that is jealous, the anger you don't know what to do with, your stuck inner procrastinator, and your toxic relationship choices. Stop terrorizing yourself with broken promises of discipline. Instead, choose devotion to your chosen pathways. What inspired action can you take today? And the goddess declaration is, I have compassion for myself. And let me tell you why I love this oracle card with this flavor of alignment, this theme of alignment. When I talked about being in your car and wanting to go forward, but your wheels and your tires are sabotaging that goal by being out of alignment. So if your actions and words and choices are not in alignment with your desired path and destination and the thing you're trying to manifest and the wish you have for your life, you are sabotaging. It is self-sabotage to say you want something, but then do things that are exactly counter to the thing you say you want. And so, again, mention it's not for the faint of heart. It's a little bit of tough love there, right? You're like, why am I not getting to my goal? Why am I not getting to my destination? It is that self-sabotage from continuing to make choices that are out of alignment, that are misaligned with that goal, with that destination. And what I love about the description from the guidebook is your inner bully, your inner critic, the voice. And so when I go back to that slide of Venus and Libra trining Jupiter and Gemini, right? And I mentioned, yes, it could be love letters to our preferred boo thing, but it has to also be love letters to ourselves, a love letter to yourself. Speak loving words over your life. Speak lovingly about yourself, how you talk to yourself. You talk to yourself more than you talk to anyone else. You will hear your own voice more than you hear anyone else's voice. And so make sure it is a loving voice. And let's be honest, a lot of our voices have been trained and conditioned to parrot and to mimic negative voices and criticisms from outside. So let's heal that. Let's repair and heal the way we communicate about ourselves, the way we communicate with ourselves. Accept the compliments. Just, put aside the self-deprecating humor for a little while. Be willing to be like, yes, I am that girl. Okay. I am that guy. I am that one. I am the one. You hear me? Okay. The pastry and poetry, I have to make it bigger because squeeze a lot in there. The pastry. It's so good, y'all. Love it. It's tiramisu. It's like watercolor painting of tiramisu. Tiramisu is so, so good. Okay. Anyway, the poetry is brought to us by Oprah. And I didn't include a picture because I figure most people are aware of what Oprah looks like. But her quote, her words, her poetry that she gives us that I think is in alignment with our theme of alignment. She says, the dream cannot come to you unless you're willing to meet it energetically. In the same place. So if your energy is off, if you are not in flow, if you are out of order, if you are out of sync, it cannot come to you. When you are synced up with life, life just gives to you. It opens doors, it creates experiences, and you are doing what is the purpose of your soul. You are doing what is the purpose of your soul. You are doing what is the purpose of your soul. I have paid attention to my life because I understand that my life, just like your life, is always speaking to you in the language, with the people, with the circumstances and experiences that you can understand and interpret. If you are willing to see that always, life, God, is speaking to you. In the things that are out of alignment, there are lessons. Life will reveal to you the things that are out of alignment. Just in the same way that your car veering off the road, hitting a curb, the wheel spinning, skidding, life will show you, hey, there's misalignment here. The hiccups, the sandpaper moments, your life will reveal to you what's out of alignment. And many of us have already felt it. Many of us have already experienced that misalignment. But we don't see it as a message that this thing or that something is out of alignment. We just say, oh, it's just another problem I have to deal with. Our takeaway I choose to speak loving words to myself and others. I choose to speak loving words to myself and others. And on that note, my dears, I pray that this video has helped you in some way to refill your spiritual cup, and hope to see you in another one. Take care.